So today I thought I'd show you our pair of Harley Servi-Cars. So Servi-Cars, they started in the very early 30s and they were produced till 1973-74. They've all been powered by the same motor. It was a 45 cubic inch, 3-speed, 750cc motor. It's the same motor that's in military Harleys and the WL series. So very reliable motors, low compression, low horsepower, but just tough little motors. So I'll start off with the red one here. So this one's been around with me for a long time. I got this in about 1996, 97. I was 23 years old, and I bought it at an auction, and it was all in pieces. And I knew the two previous owners, and I just happened to hit one up. The previous owner, I happened to hit him up and ask him if he still had it, and he told me he just put it into an auction. So, grab some cash, go to this auction, and the only thing of the front end that was still there was this very unique piece. It's a spacer plate on the front end, the hydraulic front end. It's tapered because this Servi-Cars had adjustable triple trees, but they weren't adjustable. They're actually fixed rake. So they were a 2 degree out fixed rake adjustable triple tree. So in order to bring the headlight back to the road instead of being kind of up in the air, they made this spacer plate, and it's just tapers, so it brings the top, the thicker parts at the top, thinner at the bottom. It just brings the headlight down. So 23 years old, I bought this, no idea about these bikes. All I knew was I had a conversation with another guy who had one, and I was intrigued. I thought it sounded so much fun how he described you're always doing something. You're always, playing around with something. You're always shifting your throttle, your spark advance. And I was driving my chopper at the time, and 65 panhead chopper, complete opposite to a stock Servi-Car 3-wheel Harley. But it intrigued me, and I had to have it. So I go to the auction, and this bike's in pieces, and I've got notes and I've got pictures, and I'm sitting there and I'm studying all the boxes, trying to mentally put the bike together and trying to figure out what was there, what was not. And when the auction started, there was a bunch of, there's some real players in the crowd. One of them actually owned a Harley shop, and we started off the bidding, and I was able to bid. I was the first bidder, and he went up. The auctioneer went up in there $500. I bid again. Everyone started laughing as the auctioneer said, "Sir, you cannot bid against yourself." So lesson learned. My first auction, I was nervous, and I wanted the bike, and it might have worked in my favor or not, because it showed people I wanted this bike. I was a young kid, and that might have just made a couple of guys kind of back off. Reality is, I got the bike. There was a lot of work to be done. The fenders were really, there was so much Bondo on them that I couldn't even see the actual the raised section of the fender. The box was concaved in. There was lots of rust on the inside. It was rough, but it was there, and it was, it's cool, right? It's 1963 Harley Servi-Car. And I spent the next 4 years, doing a lot of extra work, trying to come up with the money to restore this as a 23-year-old kid, right? And got their motor rebuilt, got the transmission rebuilt. Had a friend do all the paint, all the body work, and all the just all the metal work. It needed a lot of work, and proceeded to restore this bike to the condition it's in now. One of the unique features on this bike, it's got a chrome frame and it's got a chrome rear end, which I don't know why. Someone did it. And at that point, the chrome was in beautiful shape. So why mess with it? So I just built it with the chrome frame. I didn't have to paint it, so that was kind of good. So built the whole bike, you know, displayed it in our local World of Wheels, and won a trophy. But it was so cool because of, you know, you're 27 years old at the time and you restore this Harley three-wheeler that is pretty rare, especially around here in Manitoba, Canada. After that, I actually got contacted by the Winnipeg Police Department to help restore their Servi-Car they were doing for the museum. I didn't have time at the time to do it, but you know, I kind of felt honored that I even got a call. So some of the features of this bike that's really unique is it's a foot clutch, tank shift, right hand tank shift, left hand throttle, right hand spark advance, right foot brake. So jumping on from bike to bike, you really have to think about what you're doing. You know, so this one is you shift with your right hand. My military bikes, my blue bikes, my blue 45, it's a left hand shift, right hand throttle. This one's opposite. So it gets your mind going, and really, you have to really think what you're doing. And that's what I like about old bikes. I don't like just to, you know, turn on the radio and go and, you know, hit the button and just, you know, go for hours and hours and hours, and you don't hear anything, you're not doing anything, you just shift it with, you know. For me, it's just not it. I want to really be involved with the bike and hand shifting and stuff. It's a lot more fun. So I'll go through the details with this right away, but here's a Servi-Car number 2. So I got this one 2 years ago. It was a project by another guy in Manitoba, and he'd done some interesting things on it. He added turn signals, he put on these risers and different bars, and he actually hooked up a foot throttle because he had some problems with his arm, and he had put up with this foot throttle, which in the end didn't work. But and it has an electric starter, an aftermarket electric starter. So kind of neat. It's a 57, so it's the last year of the Springer, and this one's been converted over to 12 volt. It's got some just flat fenders. I do have the originals that are up on a shelf, and you know, the plan is to build this up. I haven't decided on what style, color, or anything like that, but I have an original set of bars already. I've already picked up an original set of wheels, so I have the original fenders, and a few other parts that I've already picked up to make this one go back to more of a stock form, and they're cool. They're not very fast. These things are going to do 50 miles an hour, 55 maybe. I mean, it all depends on the gearing. 45 motors aren't powerful, but they are reliable. And one of the features on this red bike, I forgot to mention, this was an ex-Winnipeg Police Department bike. It had a hole in the box on the side here for the speaker. It had a hole in the center on the top for the antenna. It has the fan on the generator to cool it. It has the larger battery box in the trunk of the box, and that's the reason for the right-hand tank shift, left-hand throttle. So these were used for traffic control. These things would just be, if they had a problem at a traffic light went down, they'd pull these things up. They wouldn't stop them. They just let them run. And they had beacons with red lights and stuff, and they would just stand out, and these things would be right there in the middle of the chaos. They're also used for marking tires, marking tires for parking. So the meter maids kind of thing. So they would drive this bike, and the reason for the right-hand tank shift, left-hand throttle is because then you had your right hand free to chalk tires. So they'd have a baton with like a chalk on the end, and they'd ride. And because they had this hand free, they could chalk people's tires to see how long they've been sitting, parked there. So they had all the control with the throttle here, shift there, put in first, and you're just going up to the next car, chalking the tires, chalking the tires, chalking the tires. So there was a reason for this setup on this particular bike. So we'll get a bit of a closer up view here. So we'll start off with the front end. Drum brake. You know, it's got the nacelle. Here's your throttle, and then your spark advance on that side. Here's your dash. I always loved having the painted dash that matches. It just looks so classic. Got a M88 carburetor on there. And this one, as you can see, there's no battery box right here where there normally would be. The wheels, they aren't original, but they work. And I made those covers like 25 years ago. So there's your box. Like I was saying, it had so much putty on this when I first got it. I didn't even realize this body line actually was there. Here's your box. We'll go around the back. Again, I used all polished stainless on this. I made the back bumper. It was that's just aluminum. I bent it up. Those are 55 and up style tail lights. And when you open the box up, oh yeah, sorry, a bunch of junk in here. Should have went through this first. It's all good. So I got the enclosed chain guard. Here's another brake. These brakes, I have to redo the brake on this one again because they tend to leak. I got to get a better one. So there's the large battery box. And you can see I put oak in here. All the bolts, again, are polished stainless. I just wanted to go a little shinier, and I could do it. And then you just pull these back up here. So this has there's springs in here. That's what gives you your ride. Very comfortable. You can see there's the exhaust underneath there, all chrome. Sorry I didn't get a chance to really clean the bike. We just happened to have a nicer day. There's still snow on the ground in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and I thought I'd do a quick video on this bike. Those are 63 to 65 emblems. You can see 3, 2, 1, and reverse. This has a reverse. Here's your oil on this side, and your gas on the other, ignition, and I'll show you underneath. So there's your differential. Everything was chrome back in the day on this thing. Super clean underneath. I mean, I could clean it a lot more, but it's got 3 different types of suspension on it. 3, yeah. So it's got leaf springs, it's got shocks, and it's got coils. It's really interesting that they put so much suspension in such a small box. So here we got the 57. So it's got a different brake than the other one because this one's a Springer, not a telescopic front end, but this is your typical, big twin style brake setup for a Springer. Your horn, your light. It's got the shock in there, a little bit better absorption of travel. It's got different bars on here than the stock, and you can see how this one's a left-hand shift, 3, 2, 1, and reverse again. A little bit different than the other one. And you can see here the aftermarket electric starter. So I believe it was a V-twin I have yet to hear this one actually run. I haven't had a chance to really jump into it. There's some wiring that has to be dealt with, and it's always fun when you're trying to figure out what the last person did. That's why I like starting from scratch. That way I know exactly what's been done to the bike right from the start. So you can see the wheels spoked with the Ford emblem hubcaps. Pretty ugly fenders in my opinion. It's got shotgun pipes, which will be changed. I'm not a big fan of those. You can see this one had a foot throttle. That it's not factory. And you know, some braided hoses and stuff. That'll all get changed. We'll go through this and make sure everything's right. It's got a beautiful seat though. You know, it's got some age to it. It's got a CV carb. We will change that. I'm more of a traditional guy for the Linkerts. And here with the box, so you can look at the two boxes. This one I painted the stripes on. That one there was wooden strips put on, so it's kind of unique. A lot going on back here. We will be removing that light bar in the center. Again, those are 55 and up tail lights. Again, he made a homemade bumper. It still has to be finished. We'll finish that up. Different kind of hooks here as opposed to the stock ones. These ones just clip in. So this is some kind of something else. I don't know. It works, but not for me. And we look inside. There's the original rims. There's the original bars. Those are correct. Another ain't fully enclosed chain guard. So we got a few more parts here that this one will take, and kind of neat. I always liked Servi-Cars, and hope to get some of these out soon. It's been too long. Just so, if you like this stuff, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, share these videos, and have a great day. Take care. So this is October 30th, 1997. Just a pile of parts that trying to figure out what you have, what I got, you know, what kind of shape things are in. And this took a bit of time since this was my first venture into restoring a bike, especially from nothing, from pieces. And quickly learned at the time there wasn't a lot of information available. There was no internet, there was no YouTube, nothing like that. It was just talking to people, finding some books with a small mention of it about Servi-Cars. The parts manuals aren't as complete as pan heads and other 45s, but you take it on the project, and one of the first things you do, in my case, what I always do is I start assembling it, start putting it together. That way you have an idea what's missing, what's there, and just go through all the parts, send the motor off for rebuild, the transmission off for rebuild. Got a bunch of stuff powder coated. You evaluate every single piece, make sure it's okay, if it's straight, and start assembly. And because this frame was already chromed, I could assemble it right from the beginning. And I used to do polishing, so I did a lot of polishing. All the bolts are all polished stainless. All the aluminum is all painted, all polished. I had a friend of mine, Dan Hope, who did an exceptional job on all the body work. It was a lot of work to replace the floor, the sides of the box. He re-arced the top because it was actually concaved in. Tons of work on making sure that this thing looked the way I envisioned it. Took some time, but we got it assembled. And just before, literally, minutes before, we had to bring it to our first show. And it was a great response. You know, very proud moment as like a 27-year-old to be able to show off a bike that you know, I built from scratch with very little help, and I was happy, very happy with the end result.